Chapter 12, Food Safety. 76 million people become ill each year from foodborne diseases. That is about 25% of the U.S. population. Although most cases are not life-threatening, about 5,000 people die every year because of foodborne illnesses. The most concerning of the foodborne illnesses is due to a bacteria called E. coli. But not just any form of E. coli, because E. coli resides in our intestinal tract and aids in digestion. There's one form of E. coli, 0157H7, which can cause bloody diarrhea, cramping, dehydration, and even death. Salmonella is another well-known bacteria causing foodborne illness, most commonly associated with undercooked chicken. But it is important to realize that meat is not the only source causing foodborne illnesses. Produce is actually right behind seafood in reported cases. So how do you avoid it? Keep hot food hot, keep cold food cold. Keep raw foods separate, and keep your hands clean while you're in the kitchen. Be careful what you clean with. After about a week of use, the average sponge has about 5 billion bacteria. Placing the sponge in a microwave for a minute can eliminate about 99% of those bacteria. A pesticide is a chemical used to control pests, insects, weeds, fungus, or other diseases. A pesticide can be natural or synthetic. Most of the 4.5 billion pounds of pesticides we use every year are synthetic. Pesticides can survive processing and are sometimes even concentrated in processed foods. The advantages of pesticides is being able to fight off pests, which could potentially kill off an entire crop. Yet pesticides may not even increase crop yield. Resistant pests develop after pesticide use and destroy more crops than the original pest and are more difficult to kill. This generally requires stronger pesticides. This may explain why there is such a growing demand for organic foods. Organic foods have some positive and negative aspects. On the positive side, eating organic minimizes exposure to pesticides, synthetic hormones, and GMOs, but it doesn't eliminate them. There's no risk of resistant pests, and there are social, economic, and environmental benefits. But there are also negatives. Probably the biggest one is cost. Also, about 25% of the organic foods are contaminated by pesticides. Improperly composting animal manure used for fertilizer increases the risk of foodborne illnesses. Organic foods are also not more nutritious. Studies have shown that there is a small increase in nutrients in organic foods compared to non-organic foods, but that this amount is insignificant. And it's important to realize that organic ice cream and candy bars and processed foods are not more nutritious than their non-organic counterparts. You will decrease your exposure to pesticides by eating these, but it doesn't make it more nutritious. Genetically modified organisms are becoming big news these days. So what exactly is a genetically modified food? In this diagram, we can see an RNA strand made from the DNA in a normal tomato. This RNA guides the formation of a tomato rotting enzyme. Once this enzyme is formed, it will cause the tomato to rot. So, wouldn't it be great if we could just remove that enzyme and keep the rest of the tomato the same? We could have the same tomato, but it would last longer. Well, instead of taking the enzyme out, scientists found a way to block its production. They did this by inserting an antisense gene which blocks the native gene's ability to produce the rotting enzyme. Everything else is exactly the same. GMO supporters claim that GMOs will potentially help with environmental degradation, food shortages, nutrient deficiencies, medicine shortages, and dwindling farmland. The disadvantages are that farmers must still spray, the seeds come at a high price, the insects become resistant to the transgenic plant pesticides, the possibility of unique proteins may cause food allergies, and the big one, cross-pollination and failure to combine the engineered genes. And we really just don't know what the GMO future will bring. Okay, that's it. Not just for this chapter, but for the class. I hope you enjoyed it.